Okay, we are now in week 2 of Cerul's 25% discount on all Cerul products during the month of March. Again, Beth and I have taken Cerul products for 72 months now because they work, and we wholeheartedly support them. Just use code SAVE25 at checkout. Just click the link below to see for yourself. Good evening. I'm still reporting on the coup. Now just hang in with me for this 2-minute and 50-second clip from Rob Schmidt's show on Newsmax this evening with Professor Art Laffer, the father of supply-side economics.
In some cases, Americans paying 30–40% more than they used to. Look at gas, energy, airfare, electricity, food, housing, and rent, all way, way up. And this report comes as the president pushes an absolutely massive $7.3 trillion budget for fiscal 2025. Some portion of it. The rest of it, of course, will just be tacked onto our national debt. There is nobody in Washington willing to stop this insanity, it seems. You look at the escalation of government spending brought to you by the pandemic, the Chinese and Tony Fauci gave us. Before COVID in 2019, look at that, $4.5 trillion. You go through COVID, we know why we had to spend a lot of money there for a few years, but look at it now, COVID completely over. 2024, 6.9, and look at 2025 in the 7s. Renowned economist Art Laffer joins us to talk more about this. And sir, it's good to have you on.
Thank you, Rob.
Just talk about that for a second. What we used to spend in this country pre-COVID as a government versus now. We've almost doubled the spending of government in just a few years.
Yeah, we have, and it's basically not for really productive reasons either. I mean, we're paying people not to work. We're paying people just demogrants so that they feel richer and they quit their jobs. And that's why you have employment down so very, very much. Now, the unemployment rate's down, but that's not really the number you want to look at. You want to look at the employment rate, which is at one of its lowest levels in a long, long, long time since Bill Clinton was president.
Right.
And if you look at it, when you don't have the production of goods and services, Rob, what you find is happening, those goods aren't out there in the marketplace, and people bid for the reduced amount of goods and services, and you get the inflation.
Let's talk about the interest on the debt that we have at this point, because that goes hand in hand with the interest rates that I don't think they're going to be able to lower because we have an inflation problem.
But that's not the real problem. The economic problems are singularly caused by just one factor. All our money is created as an interest-bearing debt. But it doesn't have to be that way. Why should a sovereign nation not issue its own sovereign money? The very basis of the United States is that we, the people, are the sovereigns. Why should we borrow our national money mostly from banks? By definition, we are no longer a sovereign nation when we do not create our own sovereign money.
We are going to spend in fiscal 24 more money just carrying the interest of our debt, just carrying our debt, than we're going to spend on national defense. $870 billion just to hold that $34 trillion that we have in debt. That is almost $1 trillion of our money that we are just going to flush down the toilet because we can't get a government that can spend within its means.
No, 1,000 times no. Under the current Federal Reserve System, no matter how much is spent, it will all be borrowed. It's all at debt. The banks are the sovereigns, not we the people. No matter how much spending austerity, cuts in the budget, you can possibly burden the American people with, all the money that remains will still be created at interest as an interest-bearing debt.
That's true. I mean, if you borrow like that, you're going to have interest payments to pay on that borrowing. And as you know, those interest payments do mount up. They mount up very quickly. It is a scary thing, and it's very hard when you're in debt like that to really dig your way back out again. It would take a number of years of good, solid economics and economic growth to be able to reduce that debt level back to really good, reasonable levels.
That is so not true. Even the best economists have been completely hoodwinked by this debt money system. Professor Laffer, have you heard of the Chicago Plan, which was proposed by a group of University of Chicago economists at the depths of the Great Depression of the 1930s? But an even better plan was called the narrow banking proposal by Professors Irving Fisher of Yale and Lachlan Curry of Harvard. As Professor Fisher put it in 1936, banks could still lend money, provided we no longer allow them to manufacture the money that they lend. In the 1700s and 1800s, this concept was the norm in this country. This was the most basic concept which made America great, which made America free. As Fisher said in his concise little book, 100% Money, published in 1935, nationalize money, but do not nationalize banking. What does this mean? We do need banks, but we don't need them to be the creators of all our national money. That would make them the sovereigns instead of we the people. And now we see where this lands us, a nation smothered in this debt money system without a clue on how to escape. Don't you think that the very institutions which benefit the most from this setup may be playing some role in preventing the average American from figuring this out? Worst of all is that there is a simple solution which will not cause a crash in the financial markets. Just the opposite. As America finally escapes from this debt money system which only benefits one group of Americans. To whom do we owe this nearly $1 trillion per annum just on the interest on our national debt? I'll give you a hint. Then I'll wrap this up for tonight and let you think it over. Then tomorrow, God willing, I'll give you the simple answer, the same answer I gave to President-elect Trump at the request of one of his first national security advisors in December of 2016. But here's the final hint. When you go to your bank and you take out a mortgage to buy a new home, and when you sign those papers promising you will repay that loan, what does your kindly banker do after he receives your signature? Does he or she go back into the bank's vault and load up a pillowcase with $500,000 worth of $100 bills and plops it on the desk in front of you? No. He or she looks at your signatures, then types some numbers into his computer on his desk. That's all. They don't have the money. At that instant, the bank just created $500,000 worth of brand new American money. And then, for the next 30 years, they not only get to pocket the principal, they get to pocket the interest. They don't steal it out of your mom's account or the school system's account. They have secretly stolen the right of something called seigniorage from we, the people. What is seigniorage? According to Investopedia, seigniorage is the difference between the face value of money, such as a $10 bill, and the cost to produce it. In other words, the cost of producing a currency within a given economy or country is lower than the actual exchange value, which generally accrues to the governments that mint the money. So if someone is going to make money from the creation of our national money in a sovereign nation, it can only be the sovereigns, that is, we the people. Yes, we the people can create too much of it, or too little, but at the very least, in the immortal words of Benjamin Franklin, in the colonies we issue our own money. It is called colonial scrip. We control its purchasing power, and we have no interest to pay to no one. See you tomorrow.